She was saying that they were in there, it's all me. They're in the lobby. They're not in the meeting yet, so I'm telling her it's okay.
Like, it's kind of crowded. But is there a bunch?
Charlotte and the dad and the dad's girlfriend.
I don't think it's. I don't know anything. There's a baseball game out there. And I'm missing things.
Lisa did, yeah.
Where are you going to Lady Creek?
Two.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's where.
Oh, I'll be looking.
Graduation that day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm an Android user, so I'm kind of iPhone, iPhone 11. Yeah, we don't have. Yeah, there's only 5 people, so there's a half a page, right? We build it. It's not there.
They have, they're signing the sign-in sheet.
Oh. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. That's okay. Just do it. I said it was quick and sweet. Was it? Yeah, then he had to leave, so. We had surveyors show up, so we didn't get it. It would be production of proclamations. Very good thing. I will see, I can try to give something. I need to put some on. Well, it's so funny because Sebastian's mom decides. She took all kinds of pictures of elderly during graduation.
He's on here.
Okay. And that's when I walk, and I had to be there to help open the, like, literally, I walk in the door right 12 feet, 15, I have time to see it.
Okay.
All right, it is 6:17. Thank you guys for being patient. Sorry for the delay. I'd like to go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the Gilmore County Board of Education, May 9th, 2022. Mr. Minnie?
Here.
Dr. Barr?
Here.
Dr. Miller? Here. Mr. Kennedy?
He's on here. Brian? Well, he was.
He is 4246.
4246, he's on here. Can you hear us,
Keep
Brian?
your ass and I can hear him.
No, I'm unmuted, yeah.
Can you hear us, Brian? Unless I can.
He just messaged.
He just messaged me.
Yep. Myself. All right. Here's Stephen. There's a music of the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
Right. So we have a few delegations this evening. And you can either stand at your seat or you can come to the podium, whichever you prefer. You will be given 3 minutes, which I'll go ahead and put on the iPad here for you guys to follow. So the first person I have is Miss Marissa. Go ahead.
I would like to speak this evening on the student handbook on page 50, where it discusses the graduation apparel and students' right to be able to wear regalia awarded to them outside of the school system. We are very proud of our school system. I know many of you have quoted that previously. We should be proud of all student achievement, regardless of whether it was in the school system or extracurricular. If a person is a 4-H'er, 14 years, that is a major achievement. If a Girl Scout has been in Girl Scouts since she was a daisy, that is a major achievement. Those things themselves are achievements, not to mention the things they accomplish while they're participating in those organizations. If a student is entering the United States Armed Forces with a 4-year commitment to the Navy in a time when our world is in turmoil, that's a huge achievement. Rising students need the ability to share theirs. So if we cannot at least make the adjustments, these amendments to the handbook, for the students who are graduating here in just a couple of weeks, rest assured back to continue to pursue the change in the handbook for the future. Because I know I have several Girl Scouts who are looking forward to wear their cords, wear their sashes, show off the accomplishments that they have earned in their extracurricular outside.
Thank you, Melissa.
Jake.
I want to thank you both now and now. I'm just thinking that everybody has this opportunity to speak. I also want to thank Mr. John Hudson for inviting me to give him a statement about the policy of the student handbook. That, okay. I'm echoing.
Yeah, you're echoing. You don't. Like a smartwatch, it's fitting.
Very experienced. Huge.
Yeah, there's Brian.
A terrible echo on here.
We know Brian.
I'm going to hang up and call back in.
Try again.
Is he the one? Hello? Yeah. I need to be quiet. Is he on?
He's calling back in.
Normally, that's like, yeah, like they're watching. Did you mute all? Okay, we're gonna go. She's like, I was like, I'm gonna go back.
Need to participate.
That's the same thing.
And then make this one. And then
Try
you gotta
again?
unmute.
Oh,
Yes, okay, that should be.
Okay,
We good?
I think so.
Okay, all right, let's resume. Okay, so I also want to thank Mr. John Putnam for giving me the opportunity to call him today to find out more about that policy within the student handbook on page 50 that talks about the accessories, basically, skulls, all of those pieces that the students are allowed to wear for graduate. I think that there will be several of us here this evening wanting to speak on this is, for at least me, it came as a shock. I have had students who have been 4-H'ers in the program in recent years who have worn their 4-H cords. These are kids who, as Marissa said, have been part of this program since they were young. I joke, I have a family who their youngest is now 12 years old and has been with us since she was a baby, like in her mama's belly, has been part of our programs. So for me, those kids have worked really hard through these extracurricular programs. And that opportunity at graduation is a chance for them to celebrate not only what they've done in the school system, but also what they've done in the community. So I think while you'll see a lot of us here talking is because we didn't realize this was a policy in the student handbook. I specifically asked, is this new? It's not. It's been there. I don't know that it's been enforced in the past. So that's where it's kind of coming as a shock to many. I did ask a certain parent today whose child graduated with a 4-H honor board in 2019. And she said at that time, the policy was we were to send a list of who would be wearing these cords to the principal for approval, and they were able to wear those cords. I will also say one of the conversations that has come up related to 4-H programming is the fact that we do act as a partner to the school system in regards to actually having a signed MOU with the school system. We are so thankful for all the financial assistance that they provide our programming. We love getting in the schools and working with the kids. So we didn't know if we might be one of those groups that are covered by that academic organizations, associated organizations. However, I still wanted to come tonight because as someone who grew up in the Girl Scout program, I believe that program is just as important to the kids of our community. And this was our last chance to speak on this before graduation. So while it could be made a policy change before next year, right now, this is our last chance. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jen. Well, that's perfect. That was right up there.
I was watching it.
She was using it.
If you heard me, I said it up there.
Okay, right. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Carpenter. I am a high school. I've been part of I was part of 4-H since I was 5, so even before that. So I'm the person that you mentioned. For as long as I can honestly remember, I've been a part of 4-H camp even before I had memories of school. And so I've learned there has allowed me to actually be able to do stuff in school better than I would have done not being part. I have honestly learned more about how to cooperate with others there than I have at school. And I've been to many schools from different parts. Like I'm not a resident of this county. Oh. I am now. But that has allowed me to get different places and then different things. Honestly, even with the small side of school, there is still more people there I get along with than I have anywhere else. And most of those people I've met through 4-H camp, even before I came here. So reconnecting with them has been one of the best experiences of my life. I keep checking that. I don't have much to say after that. It's just being able to wear that on graduation, have photos of that would be a very pleasant memory for me. I also would just thank all of you for being here. I wrote a speech and it came out more argumentative. So I'm making this all up in my mind. I apologize.
It was great.
I don't have much to say after that, other than, like she said, apparently this has not been as enforced as something enforced as much as this kind of came out. I heard about the side and stuff with it before it. And now we find out we can't exactly do that, so we were very confused. If you could take this time to hear us, I greatly appreciate if you would assist us in this. That's all.
Thank you for your time. You spoke very diplomatic, even without speech. Okay.
I am a current senior at Hayward High School, and on January 6, 2022, I signed for the Navy a 4-year contract. This is the sash that they gave me to allow me to wear to graduation. Seeing as it's just a simple and plain. As Ryan said, in the past, I was never aware of the page, federal page 50. The Navy is very important to me. Making a 4-year commitment at the age of 17 when I signed was one of my greatest accomplishments. I am very proud of it. I joined the Navy from being inspired from my family. I've had people in the armed forces all the way back to World War I. My great grandpa was there. And my dad is also a army vet. With an appreciation and understanding of the armed forces, and I knew from age 9 that I was going to be one. Being made aware that I was not allowed to wear something that was so important to me to graduation came at a complete shock to me. So I thank you for allowing me to this opportunity to express how I feel. And I'd be very if I could wear it.
Come on, Dad.
Of course, I'm here for the same reason everybody else has. But I want to take a different approach on it. I want to ask why military is not affiliated with Gilmer County High School. I've had multiple people tell me that's the reasoning they can't wear the sash. But we come in here today, say the pledge of allegiance, play the national anthem at our ball game. How do you think you got there? For the military. Why don't we have an ROTC? A friend of mine pointed me on the Ritchie County High School website. Channel 12 News covering their military sign. I believe it's 4 students. And my question is, why don't we do that? And why isn't the military affiliated with the high school? Has there been any recruiters invited here? Has there, and I know personally, active service, I've personally cleaned up Glenville twice after flooding. One time the flood line was above the windows on Pizza. And military serves a lot of different aspects. They're the reason we have these freedoms to make these choices. So why isn't it affiliated? That's my question. Appreciate your time. Hope we can check.
I know this meeting. There's nobody else signed up for delegation. Else that wants to speak before we move on.
I do.
Else is in Tracy, you thought and wait to speak.
I didn't even look at it. I got-
Yeah, I know this. I'm very proud of my daughter. And as a mother, I can tell you it's not very easy. Because her starting the military, signing up for the military and joining the Navy, I know she will not reside in Gilmer County. That's not possible with the career choice that she has made. Closest she can get to me is Norfolk, Virginia, and that's it. She allows it, but this is a career that she has chose. And I'm sure that when each of you ran for your elected office, you ran for the better education system and the county students of our county. So whether it's now former students, graduate in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this policy, these procedures need to be looked at and dissect and find out why we are not. There is a flag in every classroom. We say that I pledge every morning. The very liberties that we have come from our military forces. The reasons we lay our head down each night safely is because someone is out there protecting, serving us. and my daughter simply wants to wear a sash, showing you that I've made that choice to protect and serve you, your children, future children of Gilman County. We have staff, community members that have served us. And this is a way of her honoring this. She's doing it because the family members, but I don't think that's the only reason we speak to her and she's not in front of a podium. All right. Reasoning we were given for her was that it was not an organization that was within the four walls of our high school. Well, yes, it is. Because, and I respectfully say that, but because the very reason we have that liberty to go to school is because somebody fought for it. Because of our military. In a world where things are chaotic, I mean, we could easily be Ukraine right now. Why not let her take this milestone, one of her decisions, and honor it? We said, we were told that she could decorate her cap. Well, the sash, if you look at it, is nice. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry. Thank you all for taking the time to speak with us today. We'll go ahead and move into our consent agenda at this time. We have minutes from the April 19th motion hearing, April 19th special meeting, April 25th personnel hearings, and April 25th regular meeting. Has everybody got the chance to review those minutes?
I have,
All of them. There's been a motion and a second to approve all the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Clay? Yeah, Clay.
What I have for you tonight is the schedule of checks to be written. I will get the April budget out, budget report out. We're winding down our fiscal year 21 audit in its final review phase of the audit. So we'll have we'll be getting out fiscal year 23 budget. So I hope to have that available for your review and out to the public by the end of the week. So what I have for you tonight is the schedule of checks to be written. Are there any questions with those checks? Yes, ma'am.
I would just, Divine Power made me think of it. We're hoping that the change over to the LEDs would make a difference. Do we have enough of that done yet to see anything?
At this point, I would think probably not. But we will start, I'll start reviewing those. So all the phases weren't complete. We should start to see a little bit over the next coming months. Joe just told me coming in here that they have said that they are complete. We will be doing a walkthrough with them next week or so to make sure that they have done everything they said they did. So we should start seeing noticeable reduction. That was kind of the thought behind proceeding with that first, is to get that cost savings benefit to start helping us have that cash flow to make those payments. So
I'll be interested to see how that gets out.
yeah, and we did, as part of that process, we did pay. We will be monitoring, but they will be monitoring. Because that is a hearing. My time is up.
I was gonna make sure you said that.
So,
Keep it for each other, guys.
yeah. So we should start seeing reduction.
And I just, had another question. I don't know, like probably roughly 3,000 to bolus and rise. Are we currently in active litigation or?
That was to end litigation. Should be the final bill.
Any other questions on the schedules of checks to be written?
Make a motion, make it through.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the treasurer's report? All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
And Brian is on here. We just can't get him unmuted now.
You complaining?
We're texting back and forth here, so I just wanted you to know he is trying to speak.
Do we want to have him just call on somebody's regular? I told him to.
Yeah.
Okay. And just if he wants his vote to speak.
Call on mine.
Not mine. but somebody else. All right, here he is.
Thank you.
Brian, can you hear us?
Okay.
Get it?
Well, I didn't
try, but.
Yeah, it doesn't give me an option to unmute here, so. But we have him on the phone. So,
Brian, can you hear us?
I can you don't hear anybody.
I won't comment on that. Okay, we'll go ahead then and move on to reports, discussion, follow-up. Do we have any recognition of students and staff?
no, not at this time.
Okay, Mr. Frazier.
Yes, just updating on the facilities. The secure entry is later on the agenda. It's also later on the agenda. The LED lighting that we're just talking about is basically finished. There are a few loose ends to tie up or to get wrapped up. The way that will end, just so the board knows, ESG has the lighting expert. His name's Clyde. I don't know his last name, but ESG's lighting expert, along with our project manager, Jeff Allred, and then us being the superintendent, if she wants to, Clay and myself, we will do a walk around, walk in every room, walk we have, look at the lighting, make sure we are happy with the work that has been done. As I've told the board all along, I'm not receiving any complaints from teachers, from administrators, so I believe we're going to be happy with that walkthrough. But that's the way that'll get completed. And I thought Dr. Miller asked a good question there, and I'm curious about myself. I think we all will be. I don't know how the billing cycles work and when we'll start noticing that difference. I will tell you, and I try to stay in my lane the best I can. As part of this agreement with ESG, of course, the HVAC will factor in here too. But if they don't meet the guarantee, the empty savings that they told us we would meet, they have to write us a check. Now, the HVAC will be part of that, but the lighting that is near completed was 50% of those savings that they told us and guaranteed us we would have. So that is part of it in there. And Clay can speak to that more if there's any questions about that. But that's the LED lighting quick, and with just another thing almost checked off the list. So I'll update on that when it is finished. Unfortunately, with the HVAC, we're the same place we were last board meeting. Last board meeting, I told you most of our rooftop units are carrier units. We are still being told it's going to be the last of July on that. So I guess if there's any good news, it didn't get pushed back any farther. We're still hearing last of July. They are ready to go to work on those. So I don't think that'll be a thing when we get the units here that will set to be completed. We are being told that work will start as soon as we get the units in. Also, we are expecting the GPS bipolar ionization units any day, is what I'm being told. And that work is ready to be completed too. One thing, it won't be the same guys, but it is the same company. Mon Valley Electric will also be adding those to our existing HVAC units. And basically, in simple terms, the way I understand it, and I've got to think real simple, is that once these units are put on units, we'll have cleaner air. And that's the thought process behind that and adding that. So hopefully that will happen soon. With the animal processing classroom, we're still just awaiting that June 13th date. I do want the board to know we are looking at some things. I've been in contact with Smith's Land Surveying. And we are looking at a couple things that we need to address, not part of the project, out back with some drainage issues. Clay and I went up the other day in the Friday with the pouring rain, and we were out in the middle of the rain, taking video, taking pictures out back there. And we do have some issues that we need to address before we get started with that project. So we are working on that as well, and that's something I'll probably most likely, I hope, but I doubt it will fall into the $5,000. So to get that addressed, that's probably an issue when we bring it back to the board and asking for your approval once we're ready to pull the trigger and get those drainage issues addressed out back there. And that's basically where I'm at. I did mention last board meeting that we are working on a storage building at the elementary school. It's the elementary school's biggest need right now, and we are in contact with Williams & Schreiber, our architects, to see roughly a ballpark figure, what would this facility cost us, what would this storage building cost us, and then their fees on top of it. So again, once we get to that stage and get some rough ballpark numbers, we would bring that back to the board too, and see if the board wishes us to pursue, explain how we pay for it, and things like that. But that's all I had in the area of facility updates, unless anybody has anything for me. Isn't that what?
Good. That was good. And Shelley, we gotta give that up. That was good.
Thank you.
Right, Shelley, I'm right. Did you control that?
It's not the day, huh?
I do want to talk about just a couple of things, or a few things. The first thing I wanted to talk about, you do have a little stack of papers on your table in front of you, and I'm not going to read page by page, but I would like to start with page 1 and move forward. The first one, I mentioned reading horizons at the last board meeting, and it's a focus on fun. Did get the quote today, and the little packet of paper that says "Reading is for everyone" is the quote that we received, and it indicates that we are going to purchase a kit for 6 kits for kindergarten, and then if you go through, you can see the price of it, and then the kits for the 1st through 3rd grade, because those are multiple grades. There are more kits, 11 kits, and then we are going to purchase the 4th and 5th grade kit. And you can see the price of that. The professional development that we did get quoted would be a 2-day training, and that is up to us as to how to implement that. We can either do it back to back, or we can have a training before the school starts, and then we can further on into the school year, we can do another training, and then they have coaching where people come out and they help our teachers with any problems. With the cost of this, and we will have a requisition at the next board meeting, that will come out of our 2022 Title I money. You have a surplus there that we can take out, and your letter will reflect that it is coming out of the Title I monies. So when you get it and you see $40,000, you will know what that entails. Are there any questions on that? Can part of that training be done like through the professional learning days as you before, is this separate outside? Well, what I am hoping is to bring them in. I wrote a grant and submitted it. I don't know when I submitted. I told Tabby last week sometime. And I'm hoping to be able to provide additional training and stipends for staff if we can get that grant out during the summer. So that's just a little bit of extra cash that staff can have for that. And fingers crossed we do get that. But that's what I'm looking at. And then for the training, it would be sometime at the beginning of the year if I can get it. Okay. Also in the new business agenda, there is the ALC plan. And I wanted to go over that just a little bit. The ALC plan, I worked with the principals, I've talked with Mr. Yoder, and I worked with Ms. West. And how we have it constructed for next year is the same way we have it for the remainder of this year. We are looking at 2 sites. We have the Gilbert County Elementary site, which is here. It houses the elementary students all day long. And then we are looking at the Gilbert County High School site. which would house the high school students all day long.
And that would, the high school would take the place of those students that are currently going to the career center, something like that.
Well, no, that, it depends on how they are expelled. If they're assigned and they're expelled and it's an after-school program, then they would go down to that career center. And again, with the ALC, it is, and I don't know if you've looked through it or not, but it is, if a student needs an alternative placement, and it does not have to be for behavior, it is academics, it's social, it is, and typically we kind of think of it as behavior, but it doesn't have to be. We actually have students in the ALC at the high school now that do not have to deal with behavior. It's academic interventions. So, and I don't know if you took note of that at the end of the report.
I think that's important to know.
Are there any questions on the ALC plan? The next thing I wanted to talk about was the step 7 plan, and you're going to have 3 documents that are very similar in the way they look. They come out of GPS. This is the thinner of the ones we do, and this is how I have it budgeted. These are drafts. I have not submitted them, but what they are for the step 7 and how it has typically been done is been broken down into 4 projects. The project is your personnel that we do pay out of step 7. You go on through and you'll notice we do pay stipends for the ESL, which is English as a second language. If we have any of those students, for the last 2 years we have not. We also do the broadcasting. When Mr. Butler goes and broadcasts, we pay that stipend for him to do that after school. If you'll go on and through the step 7 document, and again, I'm not going to read it page by page, but we do pay for textbooks. And really, when I sit down and do this step 7, the first thing I do is budget for personnel, and then I budget for textbooks because they are so expensive. And then when everything is finished, I do fill in with instructional materials and what we would like to purchase for next year based off of what is left over, which is the final project. If you'll look through the document and see. That's how it is laid out. And if you have any ideas or feedback, let me know. The next plans I'd like to talk about are the strategic plan and the consolidated plan. So I have met with various stakeholders. Last Friday, I met with the parents. I have met with administrators. I look at school plans and how the consolidated and the strategic plan are developed is the schools start to develop the plans. They meet with their stakeholders. And as a matter of fact, at the high school, I have been up there and they've had teacher committees and they have talked about what the school plans are going to be. After the schools develop their plans and as they're developing their plans, I take the action steps and the information they are putting in those plans so the county can support the plan. So if they're requesting or asking for something from TBIS, I note that is a request from the school, and then I would reflect that in the county plan so we can provide the funding and the support. So that is how a strategic and a consolidated plan are developed. The school meets with all of their stakeholders, and then the county meets with all of their stakeholders, and then we present it. So the strategic plan is the actual plan itself. And again, this is a draft. This was what I presented to the parents. And there's a lot of pieces to the strategic plan. And I'm going to kind of explain some of it. As you'll note on the second page, those are the people who participate in it. Now, when you look at the school plan, they have a different set of stakeholders. But when you come and you work on the county plan, that information is brought to the county. You'll flip over, and those are the beliefs and the district mission statement that supports the county and the school plans. You'll notice that the accountability data is on the first few pages, and then you'll notice that the school team data for the demographics starts on page 5. So this is information I've collected through the year, and there's more I still need to put in through the year. And we look at that data, and we have discussion, and the discussion from the stakeholders you will find on page 10 for demographics. And we do that for demographics. And then we also do it for academic data. So if you look on page 13, I look at the school plan, I look at the academic data from the accountability system, I add our own data, and then we come up with the strategies that we are currently using. We talk about the strategies we are using. We talk about whether they have been effective or not. And at that point, we determine if we want to continue them for the following year. We have all of this discussion. I listen, I take notes, and then I write a summarization, and you can find that summarization on 18 and 19. And we do math, we do that for ELA, we do that for English as second language students. And after we do that with all of the data, and the needs assessment is kind of long, and I put in my own data, you can flip to page 54. And that is where the goal is developed. And both schools, of course, want to improve on math and reading. So again, I read over that, we talk about it, and we look at how we're going to progress monitor that. So when you see the M, that's progress. The S means the strategy. We're going to do data-driven strategy. Underneath that, you look at the components because we are federally funded. We do have to have our LEA ESSA consolidated plan components in there. And then you see AS, which are your action steps. And there's the heading, and then there's the description of what that action step is, and then the funding source of how we're going to provide the support. And again, this is just a draft, and we'll have further discussion on this before it's submitted. But you can go through there and you can look at the goal for the math and reading improvement. And then you flip back on through there and you'll find goal 2 on page 70. It starts. Again, you'll see how we're going to progress monitor, what strategies we're going to use, how we are meeting the components of the ESSA, and then the action steps start. And that is how the strategic plan is broken down. Through here, you'll see how much it costs, and that is linked to the consolidated plan, which is the budget programs, which is the other thing that's consolidated. And as you flip through this, you will see how Title I is spent, how Title II is spent. We don't get Title III because we don't have any ESL kits until we get an ESL kit. Title III. And you can see how the different title programs are budgeted in the draft. Are there any questions? And if you forget why we are, why we are paying for CE hours and where we're getting that, like if you turn to page 69 and you think, well, why are we paying $1,500 for stipends for beginning of the year? I have linked the action step that is in the strategic plan to the consolidated plan to make it as you go through and you think, I don't understand why, you can go back and look at action steps because a lot of action steps require money. Are there any questions on that? And there's a lot of good information. I think people sometimes are surprised when they get into the strategic plan, the consolidated plan, and what we pay for what, and they don't realize some of the things.
That would just pay you more money. Because I never ever want to have to do this.
The other thing I would just like to briefly mention is the textbooks. You'll be approving those tonight if you choose to. And I just want to remind you that the textbooks are decided with the faculty senate. There is a textbook committee that meets and reviews. So for the high school this year, they did do science, and the science instructors actually reviewed the materials, and then they decided what would best fit the needs of the college worker readiness standards and what 2510 expects. And then they go back and then they ask the faculty senate for permission and get their vote on those science. And it's the same way with the elementary, you know, we're looking at science folks who are going to be on this committee, that you are planning on teaching science next year. So those are the folks that came up with these and what they felt would best be their needs. Any questions? Any other report from the common or something?
Really not too much. We have graduation on the 12th. And second, in fact, I'll give two just deal. That's what I did. The other thing I'd like to say about the Career Center, you people that don't know, like, there's an instructor down there, Mr. McCormick, and I think he's a very, very dynamic individual. Done a tremendous job in Great Star. They put out really food and had winning teams at state and national. He's just a dynamic individual. And the Career Center is lucky to have him. I just want to put him on the platform. I don't know if any of you in here know him or not, but he is a fine dog. The other thing is, when we're talking about military, the Career Center, we do have a career day, and all the branches of the military invited there, Army, Marine, Navy, all the branches. I don't know if Space Force was there or not, but I know that most of them were there.
There, but Space Force was not.
Space Force was
Space
not,
Force.
yeah. I didn't think it was, but I was there when they were there, and I do think it's a good thing. I think it's a great honor to have a child that volunteered to the military. So I went to the military, recruited from high school, and it was a time that nobody wanted to be in the military. I went for 6 years, and I admire you for going to the Navy and serving your country and people. And the Career Center does make that available. And I just wanted you to know that. I didn't know if you knew that or not, but that is offered at the Career Center. And we have lots of other employers come in. Each branch of the service is invited to come to talk to the student, to give them an opportunity to discuss the situation with them. And that's about all I have from the Career Center.
Sure, I think the only thing that the question that I was one of the people that brought up that question is that they have to be going to the Career Center to get exposed to that. Not all of our students at Montgomery County High School goes to the Career Center.
I understand.
So that was my point.
Right.
I think you should also have that be available at our own high school as well. Just a day, an hour for those branches to come in to also all of those branches.
I didn't know about if it was available there or not. I went at the Career Center and I knew about that. I didn't know if you knew that. That's why I mentioned that. So hopefully things would work out. And have a good career.
Coyote Beautiful Bistro, place 14th. I just saw that in the nation.
So they are a tremendous group. You just have to see them to understand. I've tried to encourage him to put in a plan where he serves meals, because he's never served the bathroom. And have carry out. People could call in and order 10 meals, and they get their lunch got somebody to come and pick up their lunch, so forth, and that would help the students too. And it wouldn't be too expensive to do that, and I'm sure there's funding available to help with that program. But it is a great situation.
Okay, before you use the approval for the ALC plan for 2022-2023 school year. Yes.
I entertain a motion that we go ahead and approve the ALC plan for 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
Bill motion in a second. Any discussion, any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Approval for the preschool start and end date for 2022-2023. They will start school August 24th, 2022 through May 18th, 2023.
Bring preschool start date, 8/22, 8/24/22 through 5/18/23.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion about the preschool start date? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Preschool start date.
Approval of the science textbooks, K through 5, HMH Science Series 6-8 Amplify, Earth and Space Science HMH, Forensic Science Fundamentals Investigation, Biology HMH, Anatomy Holes Essentials, McGraw-Hill, Environmental Science HMH, Chemistry is Experience Chemistry, Physics Experience Physics, Physical Science Inspired Physical Science McGraw-Hill, and Chem 2 is Chemistry Edition from Seneca. So, and you can see Shelley has provided you with faculty senate and the sign-in sheets for everyone who was involved in the selection of the textbooks.
I'll make a motion that we approve textbook.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the textbooks as mentioned. Is there any further discussion, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Okay, the secure entry approval of bid, Joe, if you want to speak more on this.
We shared with the board last week through an email, the bid results for the secure entry at Montgomery County High School. As you saw, there were 3 bidders, 3 of the possible 5, so we were happy with that. And the we were happy about is that the lowest bidder also came in the lowest amount of days. That right-hand column, that's the amount of days that they thought they would take to complete the project. And so at this time, we would like to recommend city construction in the amount of $3,039, $339,954.
A whole lot of money.
954, and we'd like to recommend city to have that amount. Obviously, there would be a little bit more than that in that because we will have architectural fees. There's contingency built in. That was the number given to you on the other page. And in saying that, we still came in under what we had budgeted for that project. So it was a good bid opening for us. And city construction would be our recommendation to the board. They do believe they can start by that June 1st date that we've been talking about for a lot of board meetings now. They are in Montgomery County right now. They're working at Louisville State University right now. So they are in the area already. And I do think that helped them with some of the timeliness of this project. So that would be our recommendation.
That was really good. You know, open that, I was really happy to read those bids and for that company together. So I'll make a motion that we approve that. That's what your Patty recommends.
Yes, it is.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion to approve city construction as the winner of the bid for the secure entry. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
We have no unfinished business.
Personnel?
Just, I'd like to go to executive session. Thank you.
Second. There's been a motion and a second to go to the executive session, to discuss personnel. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Do I carry Brian with me?
Brian Patty's
I don't think skip this.
second.
I'm going to carry you into executive session, okay?
We were leaving. Oh, we were leaving. I was happy to go. You are.
I'm gonna be the one sitting there following my ass now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna afford trying to teach.
All right, Brian, we're back.
Oh, jeez. I'm switching the chairs. Can you tell?
All right, it's 7:25. I'm gonna make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Come out of session at 7:25.
And I'll do, if it's all right with the board, professional service and extracurricular as one.
Okay, with that, is everybody okay with that?
Professional, and I apologize for this lady's last name. So Brittany Gale Consunis, thank you. Substitute teacher, Gilmer County Schools. Letitia Kinder, retirement academic coach, effective 5/31/2022. Frank Postlewaite, resignations, summer school custodian, because he now has a full-time job, effective 4/27/22. And at this time, we have no name for the mini Titan head basketball coach. They're still interviewing.
I'll make a motion, we approve the personnel that she recommended for Frank Postlewaite and Letitia Kinder, Brittany Kusanis.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve a professional and service personnel list that's presented. Any discussion? Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then under permission to post will be Director of Student Support Services and Special Education Teacher for Gilmer County High School 2022-2023.
I'll make a motion to post the special education teacher and post the director of student support services.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? We want to add that we're going to postpone the Director of Student Support Services to the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Can we add that to the motion? All right. Any further discussion on this position? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Okay, when we were talking with the architects Wednesday, we did find out that there will be no presentation for SBA, so we do not have to go down and present. It's solely on our, I know, I was like, I was disappointed on that one because we had something really worked up for them. But anyway, we'll be notified on June the 13th. So they're going through the application process. And it's a good thing that they've called us sometimes asking questions. So we see that as a positive. At least it didn't throw our application off to the side. So they are looking at it closely.
Will they call or
They'll call, I'm sure they'll call. I'm sure they'll call, or they'll send an email out notifying.
you know, we're going to have a party if they.
Oh, definitely. So, then I received an email last week from Michelle Black, the deputy superintendent, and they have extra money that they can buy air purifiers, individuals for the classroom, and ask how many Gilmer County would like. And I said, well, 50 if you have them. So we'll see if we get 50 of them. I mean, ask for everyone. If we get 30, then we'll start and put them where we need to have them. We are still reporting COVID cases, which has been 0 for the last month, and to the West Virginia DHHR site on every Thursdays. So we're doing well with that. No.
All right, board member comments?
I would like to urge you and Mr. Putnam to reconsider the SASH situation. I feel that our young adults that have put in the hard work to earn SASHs and should be allowed to go with SASH as a graduate.
Do they bring you the handbook at the high school?
Yes.
And do they, is that the staff, that all, that the entire staff over there work on that
The
handbook?
leadership team, and then I also suggested to Mr. Putnam this year, since there's now an LSIC, that it also goes before the LSIC, which I know that the elementary presents their handbook before the LSIC. So it's a group effort, yes.
That's what I would be concerned about. I think that all the people in the student council should be involved in the handbook for next year. And I would certainly like to see something in there where the students that volunteer to serve their country get recognized somehow. I just think that's one of the greatest honors you can
What
do.
about for this year?
Well,
She graduates this year.
I would like, if we can, and if the board would like to, I'm gonna think for myself, but can you and Mr. Putnam take a look at that current policy? See if we can make an exception for this year for the civic organizations that represented today, as well as our military armed forces.
I can set up a meeting with Mr. Putnam
And
Wednesday.
then report back to that on the meeting before graduation, just 20
Or I can email you.
email. I mean, I think just so we can have something, I mean, I don't necessarily think that the board has to vote on it. It's something you guys can make a recommendation and then we can just move forward from there. That way it's done before graduation and allows those students. And then, you know, going forward, I know that we don't want this to become a free for all and, you know, people having courts for blue hair day or what have you. No offense, to anybody that has blue hair, please, because our janitor has blue hair in our office, but you know, we do have to, you know, take into consideration certain things. But again, like you said, the MOU that we have with 4-H does, you know, we do support them financially as well. Our military services, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, FFA.
If you're
FFA
employed
is.
and you're one of the things you asked them, one of the first, have you been in the military? Because you assume that makes them a better leader. Have you served in the 4-H? Have you been in the FFA? These are all great organizations that kids learn a lot from other than just school.
Well, and also a lot of, you know, college applications. Different honor societies, you know, they want to know what type of civic organizations they belong to and what they participated in. So if you guys could meet, discuss that.
I'm sending an email right now.
To make an exception possibly for this.
And the handbook each year has to be approved by the board, is that correct?
Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
The handbook. each year.
LSIC is the one who approves the handbook with the school, and then it's just presented to the board. But that's how it's traditionally been for,
It's their domain.
You're-
They
yes.
should,
Mhm.
that should be their responsibility. They
And
shouldn't have to.
But it should be the local school improvement council, the
Yes.
entire group
Yes.
that
Yeah.
approves the handbook.
yes, LSIC,
Comes
yes.
to us.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then
I
we
think
have-
student council, because the student council has been.
Yeah.
LFIC does.
Yes,
LSIC
yes.
does, yeah, they have representatives.
It's just that good student, that youth voice getting it in there.
And usually with, I know that I was on the LSIC team this time. We did have a student from student council there that represented the students
Okay,
and more than beneficial to the meeting, that's for sure.
that's good. to know.
Add that we are also willing to put stipulations on to which students we award regalia to. And if the board or the administration would like to be a part of how we stipulate that so that, you know, someone joins Girl Scouts as a 10th grader and a whole lot, that is not the same as a Girl Scout who's been there for 13 years and earns her gold award. So we're willing to work with the school too to make sure that there's stipulations on that.
And I think if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to Jake or any of the others.
I want to just take a moment here and mention, there's really nobody on this board that's resistant. Change is certainly not a bad thing. And that being said, there's a certain way I think we ought to go about presenting some of these things. If policies exist at either school that somebody feels are outdated or need to be reviewed, coming to a board meeting and addressing it with us, that's what we invite you to do. That's what we're glad you do it. We like discussing this with you and hearing your concerns. That being said, complaining about change when it doesn't happen by lighting fires on social media and vilifying Gilmer County school employees publicly makes it very hard to address any change. It makes it real hard to address change. Really, all it does is kind of create needless animosity and promotes a great deal of misinformation, especially when a lot of us don't even know there's a concern. People are fired up and saying the most awful things, and we didn't even know there was a concern and brought it before us. So I would just like you to make sure you understand you should be comfortable. All right, you don't have to, rattle off awful things on social media before we even know there's a concern. So please be comfortable here. We want you to be here talking to us.
Brian,
Ryan?
Yes.
you have any
I don't
comments?
have anything. I just like to wish all of you all that are running the best. And,
Vote for the laughing.
Yeah, and I do want to, that's the last comment that I want to make is, regarding the levy. I mean, as far as us promoting, we're limited as far as what we're able to do. We're not allowed to spend any money and, things like that. So it's a lot of word of mouth. But that levy benefits Gilmer County in numerous ways. So if you have not yet voted, I would really urge you, if you have any questions, to reach out to any of your board members, reach out to Superintendent Lather. If you have any questions, where the money for the levy goes. And again, hopefully with you guys will have an answer for you. All right, if there's nothing else, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. You'll hear it from the car.
Are you working on?
Yes, thank you. Actually says. All right, I do this so much and I keep forgetting.
Kelly.